I miss Ali. There is no denial that missing a child, losing a child is the hardest thing ever. It's almost impossible for me to describe what it feels like. But I try very hard to differentiate between pain and suffering. There is a very interesting difference that we mix in the modern world between feeling a pain. Pain is natural. Pain comes from outside us because of events outside us. And pain helps us learn. It helps us develop. In the video game terminology that Ali taught me when we were playing video games together, pain is what makes us better gamers. It's what makes us engage in life and take life on. Suffering, on the other hand, is to use that pain in a repetitive way in the form of thoughts inside our heads and end up torturing ourselves without having any impact on the real world whatsoever. And so, missing Ali, feeling the pain is one thing, but how you make that something that you hopefully make the world a better place with, that's what happiness is all about. Ali was my son, my best friend, but also my coach and mentor. I always talk publicly about how by around age 16, I think the roles changed. So I was no longer the mentor, the coach. He became my coach, if you want, especially on the topic of happiness. And so to lose Ali was like any parent would feel devastating. But for me, somehow, to lose him was energy, he 2 days before he left, he was very explicit in terms of what he asked for me as his last wish. He said, continue to change the world, but do it depending on your heart, right? And so to write Solve for Happy, I was writing it for many reasons. I was writing it because I was scared that my coach is no longer there and I will forget what I learned about happiness. But I was writing it because there is nothing I could do ever to bring his physical form back. Ali was gone, right? His physical form, as we knew him, is never going to interact with us again, right? But wouldn't it be amazing if after he left, people knew his model, people knew how he went through his life in peace all the time, people knew how to be happier, and hopefully send him a happy wish? I think my target is I want to spend every day I can spend trying to make as many people as I can make happy, and hopefully try to make them make others happy. And the Billion Happy mission is not my mission anymore. It's because there are so many volunteers and so many champions that came to me and said, we can use this, we can spread the message further. And hopefully they will take it and they will tell others, and we will have more and more people happier. The message is very straightforward. Like, if you think of us as a machine, which surprisingly, our physical form truly is a machine. I think science is proving more and more that we're quite predictable and that we can, use even dashboards to measure our health and fitness. And, it's actually really interesting when you think of it this way. When you think of our physical form as a machine, you will realize that happiness is very, very misunderstood. Number one, happiness is your default setting. You're born happy, right? When you're a child, you don't need an Xbox or someone to give you a compliment to feel happy. You're happy if you're given your basic needs. We grow out of happiness because of how the modern world convinces us that we should have certain things in a certain setup that is not really what life gives us sometimes. And so it's a very predictable, unhappiness is very predictable. It actually happens through an equation that I share in the book. Your happiness is equal to or greater than the events of your life minus your expectation of how life should behave. And when your brain is solving the happiness equation, it's looking at every event around it. And if there is nothing wrong with the event, it leaves you alone. So your default setting is happy. But when your brain thinks that, hey, something's wrong, I don't like life as it is right now, I don't believe this is safe for us, if you want, then your brain lights on a lamp on the dashboard and says something like, check engine, something's wrong, I need you to pay attention to this. And to pay attention, it triggers you not in the form of a thought, but in the form of a negative emotion, sadness, fear, worry, anxiety, guilt, shame, whatever all those emotions that we feel. By the way, if you lower your expectations, you're going to be happy more often, but you will have a mediocre life. Right? So think of it this way, and I know it sounds extreme, but if you expect your partner to slap you on the face every morning twice, the day he or she slaps you once beats your expectations. You're supposed to be happy, right? But is this the way we want to go through life? No, we set expectations to achieve in life. We set expectations because we're here for a reason. Each one of us needs to have an impact on the world in which we live, right? That's why we set expectations. But we set them high and we try to persevere to make a difference. But when they're missed, that's really what makes the difference in terms of your happiness. How you handle expectations when they're missed is what makes you happy or unhappy. And the example of losing Ali is an interesting example. So I planned everything for Ali, right? I really planned everything for his future. And then he left. What do I do now? Do I close my door and cry for the rest of my life? What good does this bring to the world, right? That expectation was missed, right? But now I can actually take that moment in time where it's not the happiest moment of my life anymore. That happiest moment was when I hugged him for the last time, right? Life became a lot harder. Do I want to stay there for the rest of my life? Or do I want to say, okay, life, that was a bad move, would have preferred to have him around, but I can make tomorrow better than today. And after tomorrow, better than tomorrow. And I continue to play the game so that I can continue to make it better and better, not only for me, but for people around me that I love and for everybody I can come in touch with, right? It's not going to bring him back. Understand that. There is no way I can bring him back. But definitely today, 3.5 years later, is better than the day he left. Millions of people are happier, right? That's great. That's, that is probably what he would have wanted to. I don't even know, but knowing Ali and the person that he was, if I had told him, Ali, would you leave this world for tens of millions of people to be happy? He would have probably said, yeah, Papa, I'm okay with that. We turned love into a product. It's really interesting. I love you because, it's like you're with a partner and you would say, I love you because you're pretty. Does that mean when you're no longer pretty, I won't love you? I love you because you make me laugh. Does that mean when you stop making me laugh, I will no longer love you? And, if you live in a world of constant change, what happens is they will change. The people that you love, the things that you love, everything will change. So your love goes choppy. It goes up and down. It goes in and out all the time. And the interesting thing about love is this. The joy of love is not in receiving it. The joy of love is in giving it. So really, when you really think about the moments where we feel in love, we don't feel happy because someone is loving us back only, but mostly we feel happy because we're capable. We're capable of giving love. What you pour out in the world comes back to you in orders of magnitudes more, by the way, right? But that's not what it's all about. What it's all about is this. Your happiness equation is events minus expectations. If your love is based on expectations, your events of life are bound to miss those expectations, and then love will hurt you, right? But if your love is without expectations, your happiness equation is always solved. Because whatever happens, your unconditional love beats no expectations. I don't expect anything from loving a tree or loving this beautiful place we're in. I mean, the person who built it is a beautiful, beautiful spiritual artist. Right? I love this place. I don't expect the place to do anything for me in return. And that feeling makes me happy. It's not about everything else. It makes me alive. It makes me human. Okay? And we've missed that in the modern world. We've turned love into a product, into something with expectations. It's like I'm investing in my love because I expect something back. And if it misses that, then I'm not happy with what I invested. Is there more to us than what we see? Is there more that we should understand by being spiritual? And one of the main reasons for unhappiness in the modern world is we're stuck in that physical form. We're trying to fix the physical form alone. And take the extreme of that. If your unhappiness is physical, then you fix it with drugs, with chemistry. It's like you take antidepressants or whatever to try and stop being unhappy. But there are others who don't even need that at all, because they realize that this is just part of them. And there are other parts of them. Another part that is a spirit, as religions call it, but I don't know what it really is. And that other part is the happy part that's living outside space and outside time. And if you connect to that part, if you realize, if you understand what the Buddhist philosophy will call the Dharma, the truth, you would realize that sometimes the events of this life are not really that significant at all, right? If there is so much more to me than just this physical form that lives for 60 or 70 years, who cares if half a year of the 70 is annoying? Who cares if I live 21 and a half years with my wonderful son Ali and then another 21 and a half without my wonderful son Ali? You know, it will pass like that because I'm more than just the 21 and a half years. You understand that? And I think this is one of the things that I shy away from discussing in the Western world, if you want, because there is such a strong pushback against spirituality. I think the pushback is a little more around pushback against religion. But religion is not spirituality, okay? The truth is, if there is a designer, you might as well want to connect to the designer, right? Not necessarily in the form that you were told, but more in the form that you should. Thank you.